A second half West Ham capitulation has resulted in West Ham losing 3 successive games in the Premier League. Some confidence that was regained after our Carabao Cup victory on Wednesday night has been swiftly swiped away at the hands of Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium. It's been a considerable amount of time since the final whistle blew, and I think most people still haven't quite got over it yet, and many questions still remain about what's next for the club. I hope you are well. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. I've got a Stephanie. Nigel, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Jake.
Thank you very much for joining me. Mike, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks very much.
And last but definitely not least, Gary, how are you?
All right, mate. All right.
So we've just watched Liverpool grasp a point at the hands of Luton Town. If we'd have said that 3 years ago, you'd be thinking you'd be going bonkers. But we'll cover that, of course, tomorrow night in the Roundup show. Sean and Josh will join me for that. But attention's now turned back to West Ham. I don't know where to start, to be honest with you. So Nigel, I'm just going to chuck everything to you and just say you say your bit first.
Well, I wasn't going to go. I was going to give my tickets to someone. And then last minute, I was like, no, I will go. I can't miss a game. And again, I've been there 5 times, I think 6 times. And we've lost. We've only won once in the cup. And you sort of know what's going to happen at that ground. And everything I thought was going to happen happened. Apart from what's been happening. We've been coming out the blocks really strong for the first 10 minutes. And then it sort of goes pear-shaped. And then, we go a goal down. I think, oh, no. And then Kudos scores a magnificent goal. And Bowen scores. And then there's that awful mix-up between Antonio and Benrahma. And you know what? From that moment on, I thought they're going to get back in it. And they did. And towards the end of the first half, Jake, they had, I think it was, curled a couple in. And then they missed another one. And I thought, they're going to score when they come back out. And you know what? The second half, we sat back and we just, from going from an attacking team, we just sat back. We deservedly lost the game.
Let's get the positives out of the way to start with, because it's not going to take long. The most gutting thing about it is that Kudos goal is going to be forgotten. That was a truly sensational goal. I couldn't believe it. Like my jaw dropped to the floor when I saw it. He's a special player, Mike, and I'm just so gutted that it was in a losing cause. Because if we won that game, that goal would be talked about for weeks to come. Because it was, goal for West Ham's perspective, goal of the season straight off the bat.
Yeah, great finish. We all know the guy's got it. He's not going to do it every single game, but he should be winning us that game. It's just defensive errors in my mind. I think Areola should have come up his line for one of them. The clearances were awful. I mean, we didn't clear our lines. We just paid for it. And like Nigel said, I mean, second half we just didn't have anything, did we? Didn't have anything left in the tank. But the one thing I will say though, Jake, is with that midfield, I didn't fancy us to win that game. No. I really didn't.
Okay, let's go through the individual errors first. And Gary, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to outline my view on them. Right, the first goal, Areola's got a shout to Soucek that no one's behind him. That's blatantly obvious. If he gives him a shout and says there's no one behind him, he lets that go out for a goal kick. They don't score the first goal. The second goal, Mavropanos has got to get over that and head it back out. He's got to head it back out and not try and get it over the goal, because obviously what happened. And the third goal, just mark your man, is pretty blatant. Mark your man. And if we do that, I think the third goal is avoidable as well. Overall, Gary, every single one of those goals in my mind are avoidable, and that's the frustrating thing about it.
Yeah, I think my estimation, the first goal, Areola, is too quiet. He's very, very quiet. He's a very, very good shot stopper, probably one of the best shot stoppers I've seen at West Ham. But he doesn't command his area at all, and he's too quiet. And I'm sorry, I know Soucek didn't have a call, but even at my level of football, or Mike's level of football, you don't header it straight back into the middle of the goal, ever. You head it out to the side. So that was just a poor defensive error. The second one came from Aguerd, needlessly giving away a corner. So that was just a waste of time. I mean, it's a good call. And again, what Mavropanos is trying to do, head over the bar, it's such a hard skill to do that. I mean, just whack it out. That's stupid. And the third one, they had so much time to cross it. It's just ridiculous. There's not space for them to cross it. In fair play to Lau, it's a brilliant cross, but yeah, they had acres of time to do it. And this is what it's like to me, Jake. It's like when I watch England under Southgate. Everybody at home can see what's happening, and he does nothing about it. And it's the same with Moyes. You sit on the sidelines and you can see what's happening, and he does nothing about it. He does absolutely. He's got no plan B at all. Zero. That's what annoys me.
Yeah. Look, we knew it was going to be difficult. We went into the game with, in my estimations, 3 of probably our most 5 important players. You know, if I was to outline West Ham's 5 most important players, 3 of them were out and not involved in the game. Zuma's our best defender by far, and that's just proved it because of the shambolic display that was put on by the other 2 that were there. Alvarez is so crucial to protecting that back line and really working that midfield, because it was anonymous yesterday with those 2 in there. And then Paqueta gives us that creativity as well, which Kudus did give us, which sort of, you know, dealt with that. But defensively, it was just a shambles, Nigel.
Well, it was, but I think Mavropanos is a really good player. The last times I've watched him playing, you know what? There's a lot of unsung stuff done by him yesterday. He made a lot of good challenges. I think he's unlucky with the header, but I think he's a good player, Jake. I was only saying to him yesterday. I said I think he's a great player. He's strong. He can carry the ball. I think he's really decent, and I think he could fit into the team really well. But I think the problem yesterday, my personal opinion, was you got Souček and Ward-Prowse. They weren't strong enough for Brentford. Do you know what I mean? Ward-Prowse is a great player. But he ain't strong. You know, he's not a strong player. And Souček is sometimes, you know, when he's playing deep, he's like a headless chicken. And I think you're right. Alvarez, he's worth both of them together when you put him in the team. And I think that was a massive problem yesterday, was not having Alvarez in the team.
For sure. Mike, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Ward-Prowse is good alongside Paqueta and Alvarez because it just works. You know, we've got Alvarez sitting. He doesn't want to be doing that job. He's not made for that job. Paqueta's strong. He wins the ball. He holds it up. And then James Ward-Prowse is ideal at just nipping them little balls in. You know, those 3 are a good midfield. But we get away with 1 missing, but the 2 of them, I mean, to be fair, Ward-Prowse as well, I think he started nearly every game, you know, and you know, he's not used to that. Playing for Southampton, they never played in Europe, you know, he didn't play 3 times a week all the time, and he probably needed a rest yesterday, but he couldn't. There's no way he could have done. We needed him, and he went out there, and it didn't work. Like we've all said, you know, they were too strong for us in midfield, and yeah, those weren't the 2 ideal guys to be playing in there. I'm afraid we needed more legs and we needed more strength.
Yeah,
so
more legs.
So before we go on to Moyes, let's take a step back here and say, do we think that the reason we lost yesterday was because of those players out and individual errors? If we take a step back and say, was that the fundamental issue of why we lost that game yesterday, Gary?
Yeah, certainly. I think Alvarez is a big miss. I mean, if you score 2 goals away in a Premier League game, you should get at least a point. You should never lose that game. And really should have scored 3. I mean, that's an unbelievable cock-up on the far post. So, you know, we played really well and we shouldn't have lost that game. But I think Alvarez, as Nigel and Mike said, is a huge miss for us. And if the Ward-Prowse went missing yesterday, I literally didn't hear his name at all in the second half. And it's not his fault. I just think he's physically not strong enough to stand up to these Brentford guys without Alvarez around. And Souček is Souček, you'll know what he's like. And we just lost the battle in midfield. And, you know, to fair play, I think Brentford deserved to win the second half.
Yeah.
And Moyes, in my opinion, I know we're going to go on to it in a minute, he should have done something about it. He should have spotted it from the sidelines.
I spoke to Nikki on a live show yesterday from West Ham Fan TV, and we came to the agreement that there's a lot of players in this squad, and there are some that are in this team as well, week in, week out, that ain't not good enough and just a little bit stale. I mean, Souček had a bit of a resurgence at the start of this season, but I know that wasn't his preferred role yesterday, but performances over the last few weeks haven't been fantastic from Souček, if we're being totally honest. We missed Alvarez, I get that, but there's just too many players in this side that don't
Ben
pull
Rama
their
should
weight.
be in the team. Ben Rama should be in the team.
Yeah. The issue with Ben Rama, I thought he was a little bit unfortunate to be hooked off. To be fair, I didn't think he was poor. There was a lot more players on that pitch that were worse than Ben Rama yesterday. I thought he was okay. Nigel, I'll come to you. I thought he was okay, and there's no coincidence when you took him off and you brought Danny Ings on that everything just stopped.
That's a long substitution. Sorry,
Well,
Nigel.
it's all right. You got to look at Ben Rama. He's too slow. He's too weak. When he's trying to knock it past some big players, they're just knocking him out of the way. And then there was a break yesterday in the second half, and he had 2 or 3 yards, and he went to break, and they just reeled him in. He's too slow. He's got no pace. He's a one-trick pony with a step over. And then we replaced him with Fornells, who came on
Who's no
and
better,
had a clear shot of goal and blasted it over the bar when he could have hit the target from there. And then the whole Danny Ings thing. I mean, I was talking to some people actually yesterday, and they said that there's a bit of an issue with Mbama. He's not signing this contract, so he's going to get no game time. So, it's the ideal time to put him on yesterday. We're down, you know what you're going to get out of Ings? Nothing.
Yeah.
So when this kid, he's not going to sign, and he's going to end up another Irish and Asprey. And this is Moyes. It's pig-heading this. Like, if he's not going to sign a contract, then he won't play him. I do believe that's true. I think he's just not going to put him on. You've got to abide by Moyes' rules, and I think that's, and it kills players, and it's absolutely killed. You know what? I like Fornells, but I think Moyes has killed his confidence.
Yeah, yes.
Playing him, and he's not made him part of that team that had all that togetherness last season. And
100%.
the players,
100%.
there's just no confidence there at all from them players. Cornet, when he comes on, he's terrible, and this rubs off on these players. Do you know what I mean? It's Moyes.
Yeah, Mike. The issue with the Fornells and Ben Rama thing is both of them haven't had a lot of game time, and Ben Rama started on Wednesday. I thought he did okay, and I thought he probably warranted, in the situation we were in with players out, he warranted to start yesterday. A little bit unfortunate, in my opinion, to be hooked off. But Fornells comes on, and I can't remember one thing that Fornells did. That's my issue with Fornells. He makes absolutely no impact on the game.
I think he is devoid of any confidence at all, though. What both the other guys are saying is he's had it sucked out of him. He knows he's out of favour, and it's almost like he's got, when he comes on, he's got to do something. You know what I mean? The pressure is on him. There's so much pressure on him, and I don't think he's that sort of player that can take it. I really don't. And I feel for the lad. I do. He's a really nice guy. He's done some good things for us, but he's not going to work with Moyes, I'm afraid. If we did get a new manager in, you may find that Ben Rama and Fornells may change. Do you know what I mean? They might get a bit more of a confidence that, hang on, it's a clean sheet now. We can start again. We got a guy that, I need to impress and blah, blah, blah. He might give me a chance. But they both know that Moyes doesn't really think that they fit into our best 11, full stop. And they're not going to get that much game time. I mean, Nigel's right. Ben Rama's he's got the skill to get away from people, but he's not got the pace. And the Premier League, you've got to have pace. And we have got it with, we've got it with Kudus and Bowen. We have got it with those two. Even Antonio, he's still got a,
And Cornet.
Yeah, Cornet, he's quick. But you've got to have two good outlets with pace all the time, and I'm afraid if you don't in the Premier League, you're not going to do that well. I don't think.
The thing with these players is that they are on a bench for a reason, because when they had their chance, I don't think they've been good enough, and players have come in that are better. They are fringe players, and they're fringe players for a reason. And when they don't come on and make an impact, that proves Moyes' point exactly. He gives them game time and they don't perform. You left Moyes in a difficult position where you've got players coming into the side like Fornells and like Ben Rama, who are incredibly stale because they haven't had any game time, they haven't got any confidence. But I don't put that down to Moyes because they've had plenty of opportunities in the last 2 years. Fornals and Ben Rama have had endless opportunities to lock themselves down into this starting lineup, and they just haven't done it. They haven't done it. There was a 15-game period where I thought Fornals was very, very good, but apart from that, I think he's been incredibly mediocre. And when he comes into the side, he does nothing. I struggle to see when I look at that bench, I struggle to see players that are going to change the game. I really do. Nobody's there to change a game. Fornals doesn't change a game. Cornet doesn't change a game. And there's no one else. Danny Ings definitely doesn't change a
Definitely,
game.
no. Danny Ings is a separate argument. But Fornals, let's stick to Fornals. He scored the winner in the Cup semi-final for us. Let's not forget that, coming off from the bench. But also, do you honestly think Fornals and Ben Rama are wingers? Any other club in the country, the wing players are on the left wing. So all these chances they're getting, they're going on the left wing and thinking, bloody hell. It's like Sven Goran Eriksson back in the day, before your time, Jake. He used to stick Paul Scholes on the wing because he knew Paul Scholes was a good player, but he could Gerrard and Lampard in the middle. And that's what Moyes does. He hasn't got a proper left winger apart from Cornet, who for some reason he won't try out. If you're sticking someone up in the wrong position, Ben Rama's always cutting on his right foot. He knows he's not going to get past him with pace, so he goes to the security of his right foot. And so with Fornals, he's exactly the same. The guys are trying their hardest. They're in the wrong position. They're probably not good enough. I agree with Nigel. They're probably not good enough, but they need to be in the centre where they make a difference. They're both skillful players. They've both got quick feet. Sat behind the forward, they'll do better. I just think Moyes is trying to put a square peg in a round hole with the wingers. And I don't know why Cornet doesn't get a chance. Give him 5 games, and if he's no good then, get someone else in.
So what change would you have made yesterday to incorporate one of those 2 players into that side, into their favourite position, which I agree is the number 10?
I would have taken off. Well, at the moment, Kudos is playing in number 10 yesterday. And you can't take him off for a start.
No.
So you've got Kudos, Bowen, and Piquet is fit. 100% starters. They are our 3 best players, in my opinion. And then I'll stick somebody up front who's better than Ings and better than Antonio. I'll give Obama a go. But first sub, Jake, will be Cornet on the wing to give, stretch the defender's legs, let them have a run. The guy likes to go forward. He's played less than 2 hours football, I think, in the last year or so. It's ridiculous. You got to give him a go. If he's no good, as you say, Jake, we've seen lots of Fornals, lots of Ben Rama on the wing, and they're not good enough. Let's see Cornet.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I do agree. Yeah. I feel for Cornet. He must have done, and we've had this conversation endlessly, Nigel. What that lad's done, I don't know, because yes, when he's come on, and I can't even remember the last game that he played, to be honest with you. The only game I can actually remember him playing was Everton away last year. He came off for 20 minutes. I just remember him being crap. That's the only time I can ever remember this guy playing, maybe a couple of times in Europe, right at the start of the Conference League last year. He played a couple of games, but I don't understand why Moyes is fearful, even yesterday, to chuck Cornet on. He's got pace, he's got the skill. I know he's got no confidence, but I just don't. That's another thing I just don't understand.
I think, Jake. I mean, when we signed him, I was excited because I'd seen him with Burnley, and he's smashing these volleys in, he's skinning people, and I thought, cool, this is great signing him. And you're right, he hasn't done a lot for us, but when you take things into consideration and you look at the games that he's been put on, so he's been put on a sub. It's always hard to come on as a substitute. And the games he started in have been with crap players with him. So you're playing him in, was it Cambridge? I can't remember. It might have been Cambridge who played him. I can't remember.
Yeah, all the kids, yeah, right, yeah.
You're playing him with players who are crap. Well, not crap, but you're playing him with players. It's like you're not putting him in with our strongest team.
Yeah.
I think maybe if you started him on the left instead of Ben Rama, with our strongest team, we might see something out of Cornet. That's my opinion.
I agree, 100%.
Even, Mike, if you just chuck Cornet up front, what have you got to lose? Just chuck him somewhere. Give him a go.
I know. I mean, like I said earlier, he has got that pace, and he's just never been given the chance to show what he can do. Okay. I mean, the first couple of games I saw him play, he was offside, about 4 out of 5 times. When the ball got delivered forward, he was offside every time. So I called him, Maxwell offside Cornet. But that was only in fleeting glances, really, because we've not seen, glimpses. That's all we've seen of him, really. So, nothing to lose. Worth a try, definitely. Yeah, because let's face it, if we let him go now, do you know what I mean? We don't really know what the guy can do.
No, exactly.
We don't know
Completely
what he's
wasted.
capable. We don't know what he's capable of because he's not
Completely
been given the
wasted.
opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Right, let's take some of your comments and then we'll move on to Moyes after that. I'll give you three a little bit of a breather. Peter, evening. I hope you are well. Sean, hope you are, mate. He says players don't enjoy playing Moyes' style, I doubt, so I'm not surprised results have dipped. That said, bar 3 or 4, it's pretty much a mid-table squad, so they are where most should expect. There's been a debate on Twitter, just to pick up on that, about realistically where we should be gauging and where our expectations should be. Now, this squad is, or this first team, I'm going to say, I'm going to word this right. This first team is undoubtedly better than what we've had in the last 2 years when we've qualified for Europe. Undoubtedly, this squad is better than what we've had in the past. So that's when the buck then passes to Moyes. Somebody?
No, I
Yeah.
agree. Sorry.
Sorry, carry on, Gary. You go on, mate.
No, I fully agree, Jake. A good team manager, and we've all go to work. He gets the sum of the parts. He gets the team to be greater than the sum of the parts, and Moyes doesn't do that. Now we're going backwards. I agree. I think this is the best squad I think we've ever seen at West Ham. To answer your first question, realistically, Liverpool, the 2 Manchester clubs, they're bigger than us. There's 3 clubs in London probably bigger than us. Newcastle now. So really, we should be aiming somewhere wagable 8th to 10th. So to punch above our weight to finish in the top 8. But I think we are capable of doing that with the team we've got. I think we've got a better squad than certainly Chelsea at the moment. Certainly better team than them. Arsenal we beat at the weekend on Wednesday. Manchester United are nothing this season. So, we should be aiming top 6 this season. I think we've got the players to do so. And if the manager can sort these things out and get us a bit of, confidence and a bit of flexibility to adapt to the situation we're in, then I think we can still do it.
No, I agree. Peter says Moyes isn't up to the job and the players don't communicate, especially the defence when Areola isn't in goal. Also, the players never look up when putting crosses into the box. James Ward-Prowse has played deep, and listen, he had to play that role yesterday because of the suspensions that we had. So you can't blame that on Moyes because he physically had no other choice. He had to play Souček and Ward-Prowse, which was unfortunate because we all knew it wouldn't work and it didn't work. But it is what it is. I fear a lot of players will leave in the summer if Moyes gets a new contract. He won't get a new contract. If he gets a new contract, I'll be astounded. Ken, hope you are well, mate. Moyes out should have gone this time last year. Thanks for pride, but can't have any sentiment in football. Over to Tim to find a new gaffer. Peter says we would still have lost. Frank always outsmarts Moyes. Good manager, no doubt about it. Why don't the players communicate? Areola with his defenders, Antonio and Rama missing the goal. It's no coincidence that we have scored 2 own goals because Areola doesn't shout. And I think because Zuma wasn't there as well, he didn't, our captain wasn't there to marshal the troops as he usually does. And that was an issue. And I was astounded to see some people say that Mavropanos should be starting over Zuma. I can't believe people are saying that. Honestly, Nigel, I'm astounded.
Yeah, I get it, but I do think I'm in the Mavropanos club. I think he's going to
over Zuma.
At the moment, Jake, Zuma's not fair.
Alongside him. I just think he's a really good player, Mavropanos. Going back to something you just said about Frank outsmarting us. I don't know if you watched the highlights on Match of the Day last night, but did you see his little chessboard type thing?
His tactic board, yeah.
His tactic board. And I don't think Moyes has got one of them. I think he just throws people on. Go and play. Go and see if you can affect the game. And that's the difference between some. I do think that. I do think he's just
when he bought his starter manager kit, he threw that straight in the bin.
Exactly. For all I know, he could have been playing Connect 4. But you can see that he does think about things. He's a good manager, and we're going on about Moyes. Look, the way I look at it is Moyes. He's what Ken Ryan said just now. Thanks for Prague. I think if he walked away from this club, we still say thanks, Moyes. You've actually took this club forward, but you're not going to take it forward anymore. No. And that's where I sit on it.
I agree.
Yeah, fair enough. Pgad says, I think in hindsight, Kera at defensive midfielder would have been better. Look, a few people mentioned this. We've never seen Tilo Kera play defensive midfield in our lives, so there's no evidence that would have improved things. But could it have got much worse? Possibly not. Could he have impacted it? I don't know. Moyes was never going to do that realistically, Mike. He was always going to stick with his midfielders. That didn't work, but he was always going to stick with those. So yeah, I think that's that.
In my mind, I mean, we haven't got many more to come into that position in the middle of the park. I think Paqueta's, on his day is one of the best midfielders, in the Premier League. I mean, Alvarez is steady. He does a good job. He just does his defensive job, and Ward-Prowse does a decent little job with those three, the main three. Then we got Souček, right? And who else could we play in the middle midfield, really, realistically? Connor Coventry, he's never going to get in the team.
Maybe Pablo.
In there, I think
I was just about to say Fornals, potentially.
Yeah, Fornals we could, but I don't think he's good enough in there. Full stop.
No.
You could give him an under 10 role, and I think that's his position, like we were talking about earlier. But I think we let Flynn Downs go. He's a guy who could sit in there and done a job yesterday. Do
you think that was a mistake, letting Flynn Downs go?
He wasn't going to play that much, Jake. That was the problem. That was the problem we had, is that we've got to give the boys some game time. And let's face it, if those other three are fit, he's never going to start. He'd play the odd game in Europe or a cup game. That'd be about it. But we haven't got anyone else pushing now. Dan Potts where's he at? Wickham, is it? Or
Freddie Potts at Wickham, yes.
Yeah, he's been playing really well there. I think he's one for the future. He could do a decent job in there. I really do. Yeah, I've watched some of their games, and he's scored goals for them. He's looked quite strong in the middle of the park. I think he is. He's not a Declan Rice, but he can be a Declan Rice type player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's going to be a Declan Rice, but we're lacking in that position. I think we really are. Yeah. And of course, the big thing is the centre forward. I mean, so-called we made all this money last year, these millions of pounds that we've made. Well, we just got to go out and get two good players in January.
But Mike, this is where it comes back to Moyes, because if you're a centre forward looking at West Ham now, you're not going to.
No, I know what you're saying.
You're not going to touch it with a barge pole.
No, under Moyes, you're not going to come. I'm sorry, you're not going to come, because you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
if you've got a half decent agent, then you're deleting the email without even looking at it. Not at all. You'd swerve. We'll come on to the striker in just a second. I want to fire through some of these comments, because Ken makes an interesting point here. Can't defend yesterday. Fab is a better goalkeeper than Areola. Should be screaming to Thomas to leave the ball for the first goal, and a second goal, Areola should come for it. I don't want us to get into a sticky situation with goalkeepers, not like a certain club in North London. So I think he will stick with Areola in goal. Areola's a better shot stopper, but Fabianski commands his box and communicates a lot better. So it ebbs and flows in that sense. Until Areola starts making ridiculous errors, I don't think Fabianski will be re-entering the Premier League fold unless Areola gets injured. Scroll down. Peter says it was obvious we were going to struggle in defence by keeping Creswell and giving a new playing contract to Ogbonna. It's keeping players on for probably 1-2 years longer than any other club would. I mean, Aaron Cresswell's not League One level, if we're being totally honest, is he? He showed that against Everton. It was painful. It was really painful to watch. He's just not good enough. We've got too many players that sit on this bench, and in Danny Ings' case, get onto this pitch every week, who are just simply not good enough. We've got a squad of players there, more than we have done in recent years, but the squad of players and that substitutes bench is not good enough. And you'd struggle to find a worse bench in the league than what we fielded yesterday, Nigel. Because in terms of on paper they might look all right, but when they get on the pitch, these players on the bench are just not good enough.
No, and a lot of it, I'll tell you what. When you look at West Ham, we're saying that we're possibly going to finish sort of in between 8th and 10th, and that's about normal for us. It's because of the inconsistency of this team. Like you say, beat Arsenal, lose to Brentford. But when you look through every one of our players, they're all inconsistent as well. You've got Paqueta, who's amazing on the ball sometimes, but then they give it away 4 times a game in the wrong areas. You've got some of our defenders who are immense sometimes, but then Agaird's a great footballer, but then gives away a corner yesterday. You've got Antonio sometimes skins people alive, and then he can't finish a one-piece jigsaw. You've got Moyes, who's, he's on goal. He's not been on form with his free kicks. It's all inconsistency, and it goes right throughout. If you look at every one of our players, they're all inconsistent. You never get anyone. I mean, when Rice was with us, he was pretty much good every game, wasn't he? Yeah. That's the sort of players you need. Someone that it's the consistency, and that's what West Ham lack, is consistently playing well, and that's why we're going forward. We're always going to be where we are.
Yeah, I suppose. Right, our resident Spurs fan has joined us, David. He says Forest won, getting worried. I mean, he's widened us up, but they played very well against a Villa side that were very poor today. And that's the game next week now, if we're being brutally honest. Hopefully we can win midweek in Europe, but the big game realistically is next Sunday at the London Stadium, as it was last year against Forest. A big deciding game for David Moyes lands on the Forest game. Knowing our luck and knowing David Moyes' luck, Danny Ings will score in the 89th minute to win it. But we'll see. We will see. Right, let's take some of your comments. You can't get the balance right. I'd even go as far as saying, as both as good as both have been, Bowen and Kudus are far too similar to play next to each other. P. Gaz says West Ham will need to go with the best 11 at home versus Olympiacos. So yeah, Forest worries me. Let's have a look. Sean says yesterday isn't a terrible result, though Brentford were expected to win. It's not really worth a big overreaction. Mid-table is where this squad should be. If they slide more, then it's an issue. The issue comes here where we've lost 3 successive games in the Premier League in a row. We've got a rut in the Premier League at the moment. I mean, if you look, we lost to City and Liverpool, we lost to Villa, we lost to Everton, we lost to Brentford. There's a lot of losses in the last 2 months in there. Our last Premier League win came on the 30th of September. We're on the 5th of November now. That's just simply not good enough. Mike?
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, we're all realistic, then we, like Sean said there, we know we're a mid-table team, but we should be pushing for that, 8th, 7th, 8th position. We should be having a crack at that this year. There's teams that, like Chelsea, aren't really hitting it off. Man United aren't hitting it off. I always knew Villa would probably hit a bit of a bump in the road somewhere, and they'd go wrong somewhere.
Villa will hit a bump in the road, and they've hit a bump today, and they've been brilliant. They battered us, all the rest of it. But when Europe starts coming consistently, they will struggle, no doubt. But
that game a few weeks ago, Jake, could have been so different. I mean, they were shaky as anything at the back.
Yeah.
We could have scored a couple of goals early on, and that game could have been totally different.
Yeah.
Instead of losing 4-1, we might have won that game 2 or 3-1. But again, Nigel said it, inconsistency, and that's what you get with a team that we realistically know are going to be about mid-table. I think Moyes has done a brilliant job for us, and all the pundits are going to be saying, "Oh, why the West Ham fans want him gone?" I think now we're getting to that stage where we need something does have to happen now. I think something needs to happen because I think the atmosphere at home's been good when we play the better teams. We're better against the better teams that want to play, because we can play his style and have a good chance of winning the game. Like teams like Everton, I knew that was going to be a banana skin, because they just sit in and defend, and and then we run out of ideas and they catch us on the break and score a goal.
Exactly.
But I mean, a big atmosphere like a game against, say, Tottenham or Arsenal or something like that, we get up for that. The fans would get up for it, and we're more likely to beat them sort of teams, But the way we beat them is the way Moyes plays, isn't it? Counter-attack football, sit in and catch them on the break. And I think with the players we got, we should be playing a better model of football.
Let's get on to Moyes then, as a predominant topic for the second half of the show. Right, Nigel. The lineup yesterday was interesting. the in-game management is where most people are sort of zoned in with criticism. The in-game management is so poor. We all identified that midfield was not working, and Moyes had no answer until the 70th minute to change it properly. It was evident from 35, 40 minutes that we were going to get overrun, and we were really, pardon me, backs against the wall, struggling. And then he brings on Fornals and puts him in that sort of floating about role. And then he brings on Danny Ings, and you can talk about that if you like. I've gone mental on shows about it more than anything else. But overall, as a whole, Moyes' in-game management is where most fans have lost their rag. And do you agree, being there yesterday?
Yeah, because we can all see it. Everyone in the crowd, when you're at them games, can see what's going wrong.
Yeah.
You can see who's a danger. And you can see yesterday, what's his name, Mumbai, or whatever his name is?
Yeah, he had a great game, yeah.
It was well dangerous. We had to stop him. Yeah. Emerson had got a yellow card early on, so it became difficult. So we had to shut him down somehow, but we didn't. And we knew when that ball comes in, they had giants attacking it. And they was winning everything in the air. Yeah. So what do? We keep punting it up in the air. And like Moyes should be identifying this again, right? Get the ball on the floor and keep the ball away from them players. When we was losing all the second balls. And then his substitutions were, well, we all knew what was going to get out of Ings. And we all knew that Fornals was coming on and run around. And you know what? It's just like he throws them on and says, make something happen. And there's no structure. You know what I mean? There's no plan. He doesn't plan to like, right, this is what we got to do to win the game. He just throws them on and expects something to happen. And that's like I say, that's the difference with Frank. He's sitting there, his little Connect 4 ball. Right, this is what we're going to do. He's got his team set up. He knows what he's doing. And this is when Moyes, he's guessing. He's throwing people on.
Yeah. Listen, we could talk to death about the Danny Ings issue if we like, but we all know the issues. We all know we've all got the same thoughts about it. But the issue with me is not just that we're bringing on Danny Ings; it's just the players that we're keeping on the bench. I don't think we've got any game changers on that bench, but at least players that will give it more than the predictable game plan that they're going to assert in a David Moyes team. You've got Cornet there, you've got Mubama there. Why on earth does he not bring those players on? And he brings on Danny Ings, who simply, we know what he's going to do. Absolutely. 5 touches in 30 minutes, Gary.
No, I agree. 100% agree. Cornet and Mubama don't get a run at the team. Well, the other thing I'd say, Jake, this contract situation is not healthy either. I mean, if you're in a job, all three of us in a job, and your contract's not going to get renewed in whenever it's June, whatever. Yeah, he's a human being. He's not a West Ham fan. His heart's not really going to be in it. It's going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. As the players realise he's leaving, he realises he's leaving, and our results are going to go downhill. The management Tim needs to step up. David Sullivan needs to step up and say, "This is what we're doing. Thanks very much, David Moyes. You've done a fantastic job for us, but this is what we're going to do. We're going forward this way. So please leave now and pay him up, because it's going to get worse and worse as the season goes on. Same as when we had Sam Allardyce that year. I think at Christmas that season, I think we were 4th or 5th. I can't remember. Yeah. And then when his contract went down, he finished at like 14th or something. It's just you can see it happening. It's exactly the same thing's going to happen again. If people Sullivan don't want to pay him off, and that's the biggest problem. If you've got the top man, if your boss is leaving, lost all interest, it's going to feed down to the team. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and the negativity does peak down to the team. It's quite blatantly obvious, and I think there's been an element of an overreaction for this game because of 3 players that have been missing. If you take 3 very important players out of any team, they're going to struggle, and we did struggle. There's no doubt about that. But it's just the frustration with the way Moyes has gone about it and sat back at 2-1 where the game was there to be won, where we could have caught it by the scruff of the neck and really gone on. And even with that miss, put that to the side and gone on and scored another one to seal the game. And then we sat back and tried to maintain a 1-goal lead with a 4 at the back and 2-man midfield that was completely anonymous, and a Brentford side that continually battered our back four. So what do we decide to do? We bring on another midfielder who made no impact. We bring on a striker that can't hold the ball up even less than the striker that was on the pitch as it was. And the rampage and battering just intensified, Mike.
Yeah, I mean Brentford, they're not a bad side, to be fair. Let's go back there a minute and say, hang on a minute. They've beaten Chelsea at Chelsea last week. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew we had the heart of our midfield not playing, but we needed everyone to flip in, put in about 110% and work their socks off. And once we went 2-1 up, make sure we didn't give away silly goals. The management at times and his team management and his game management, baffles me. He brings on Danny Ings. I think that's because he's 125 a week, in it. That he's
25 grand a touch. Cost us this week.
Yeah. Honestly, that's why he brings him on. I think just to justify that. But we got a kid who's scoring goals galore in the youth team.
Yeah, Marshall.
If he was anywhere else, this kid's already played international football, right? Albeit for Northern Ireland, I know. If he was playing for any other club, he would surely have got a sniff by now. The kid's on fire. I know it's
with the amount of football we're playing and the amount of competitions we're in. Yeah.
It's a big step up. I know that, But surely the kid should have been on that bench by now, had a little look at it and given a few minutes to just see what he can do. Because honestly, he knows how to score goals. He's a natural. I've watched this kid.
So
okay, he might not be physically there yet because he's not. But anywhere else, I'm sure he's been player of the month about 3 or 4 times in a row. It just baffles me how the kid's not been given a
No, he's got 17 this season, Jake.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Completely ripping out. Right. Some final thoughts. Where we go next in terms of the short term, Nigel, and just your overriding thoughts.
Well, one thing, right? We can't be having these players on yellow cards consistently like this. Like Alvarez is getting one every game. Moyes should be taking him aside and saying, "Listen, Edson, can't go kicking people up in the air in this league every week, because you'll get yellows." Right? He needs to talk to Paqueta, who's petulant, and we can't be without these players. So he's got to be having a word in their ear and saying, "Right, stop getting booked. Doing stupid things. Right? We need you in the team." I'm in agreement that both Marshall and Mbama should be getting starts because, or getting not starts, but getting game time, getting a decent spell of time on a pitch, because we're getting the chances, right? But we're not finishing our chances. We get chances every game, and people like Antonio, they're just not finishing. So if these kids can finish, get them in the team. That's what I'd do. And I think we could do all right this season if we only sort of pulled our finger out a bit. And I say I'm going to agree. It's the inconsistency.
Yeah, no, I agree. Gary, round things off.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think speaking about Nigel's good point about the yellow card. I mean, his first season, it's Sufaro used to get a yellow card every week, and he's really calmed down. He doesn't get booked at all now, and that's what Alvarez and Paqueta need to do as well. And even Emerson, he's been suspended once and he got booked again yesterday. If he reaches 10, I think is it 10? He reaches 10. And he's heading that way. He gets booked nearly every game as well.
He got booked inside 12 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, and the whole second half, they just targeted that wing, knowing he can't tackle, and that probably contributed to the game as well, really, because Emerson knew he couldn't do anything wrong. So, it's a very good point, Nigel. But I mean, let's be honest, Nigel. If they're inconsistent, if they were consistent, they would play for West Ham. So look at Declan. That's why we left. I mean, the way Jarrod Bowen's going, is it Did I hear right? Premier League record yesterday.
Yeah.
Away games.
Yeah, 6 consecutive away games at the start of the season. First player in the Premier League history to score in the first 6 away games for a club. Listen, if Moyes signs a new contract in the summer, Paqueta will go, Kudus will go, Bowen will go. I'm convinced of it because they're fed up. But if I was Bowen and Kudus, I'd be fed up of clinging on with putting this team, on their back week in, week out, having to be the one scoring the goals because they know if they don't score, it ain't coming. Mike, you look like Moyes. You're definitely not as stubborn as Moyes, but you're going to try and give me the final thought.
Well, my final thought is, I think it is time. I think if he loses the next couple of games, I think, I think he's walking a real tightrope then. I know a lot of people are going to say, you know, and all the pundits are going to go, why do they want to get rid of Moyes? But they don't have to watch this team week out. We do. We watch them every week.
You can just see it already. You can see Cundy and O'Hara on TalkSport.
Oh, yeah.
They won the trophy. They shouldn't be sad.
I know what they've been saying. He's done a great job. I'd like to shake him by the hand and say, thanks very much, David. You've done a great job. Okay, the problem is, who do we get in? I know, that's the other problem then. Where do we go from there? I still think with Moyes, we'd probably finish about 12th, 13th or whatever. But I don't think that's good enough. No. Really, the squad of players that we got there. So, yeah, I've never really been adamant Moyes out like when we were struggling last year, you know, because, you know, I knew that we were trying to concentrate on winning that trophy, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. You know, I was there. I was one of the lucky ones. It was there last time we won one. But joking aside,
is that lucky, Mike, or not? You've had a lot of suffering.
Yeah, I've had a lot of suffering, mate. But I've got to remember we were pretty good when I was a kid.
Yeah, I agree. I remember.
Yeah. So, joking aside, I think now, you know, he's getting close to it. So we don't want to lose against Forest on Sunday, definitely. But if he does, the pressure's on.
Yeah, I agree. Right, the final comments. Would you sell Zuma in January if we can get what we paid for him and Tim can replace adequately because of his injury problems? Now, look, Zuma's going to come back in the next game, is what we're hearing. He was close to playing the Brentford game, but they just thought he wouldn't risk him. So maybe he'll be rested and ready for the Forest game. Look, I still stick with he's the best centre defender at this football club, in my opinion. And you don't say your best defender. And currently, unless he gets a long-term injury that puts him out, which he doesn't currently have, you know, he'll be back next week, hopefully, unless he gets another injury. I wouldn't sell him. And Moyes has just made him captain, so there's no way he's going to sell his captain, is it? So Moyes made that quite clear at the start of the season. And I will be astounded if Moyes submits and approves Zuma leaving the club. And plus, we aren't going to get 30 million for him now. No one's paying 30 million for him, I don't think. No. Right, final comments. Rani says Mubama should have got minutes at Luton and Sheffield United. If he won't play him in games like these, he just ain't going to get a chance. Unfortunately, Peter says no way Burn will see out that 7-year contract with us. Crikey, he'll have a lot of grey hairs if he has over 7 years at West Ham. Our next away game is Burnley, a side that haven't won at home all season. They've won on a pathetic run, a historic run of not winning at home. Rock at West Ham next. We all know what's going to happen there, don't we? Yep. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for watching. It's time to go. Whether it's Moyes or the show, I don't know. Make your own mind up. My stellar pack, thank you very much. My panel, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Nigel, Mike and Gary talking sense as always. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Silence. Oh, thank you very much.
Cheers,
mate. You're all still there. You're all still awake. You haven't all fell asleep, have you?
Have a good week, lads. We got Olympiacos and Forest, 2 wins. Come on.
Yeah,
definitely.
2 wins. 2 wins.
Let's hope so. Sean reckons it's time for Michael Carrick. Are we shaking or nodding our head?
Well,
as a player, I loved him as a player. What a player he was.
He was. Joking aside, he's earning his stripes at Middlesbrough. I think maybe he just needs a little bit longer yet.
Mike's hesitant, but yeah, we'll talk about that more if we need to in coming weeks. From us, come on, you Irons, and we will see you soon right here on West Ham Official Roundup Show tomorrow night, and then building up to the Olympiacos game. We don't stop here, and we will see you very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.